how about a long handheld walking tour of the Container Arbor garden? It's been a lot of things happening here. Last time you guys saw this, there was barely a plant in there with the drip irrigation going in. Now it almost looks overcrowded. Each of these, if you remember, is planted front and back because the arbor comes straight down over the middle of each of these buckets. You can see it there. And the purpose of doing that was actually kind of twofold, to make it a little easier for succession planting, so there'd be areas that weren't crowded with plants and I could go in and plant some more things later, but also to make use of certain space. So as we go around here, I will try to show you where I'm making use of shade and where I'm making use of sun and things like that, and see if it makes sense to you. Feel free to offer your comments below. I have never done this before, and I've never personally seen it done. I've certainly seen plenty of arbors, but maybe not to this detail. So feel free to throw in your 2 cents, and we'll see how we can improve on this down the line. Okay, so starting in the front here, we've got a few tomatoes coming up. They're not in the ground, so I'm not going to boast very much, but man, am I proud to have tomato from seed outside, and just look forward to seeing those continue to grow. There was certainly an awkward adolescent period where I just was not sure if they were going to come up, but alas, there they are, and I'm proud of them. The things that are coming up more slowly are the herbs. I've got oreganos and sages and other things planted throughout here, catnip, to be companion plants, and either because of the excess shade like these Kentucky pole beans that you're looking at now, or just because they take longer, I am not sure, but they seem to be coming. They're just coming a little slower. So down here you will notice that there's a little tiny herb plant, and that is sage, growing in companionship with the Kentucky pole beans. So anyway, all right, as we move down the line here, you can see that the pole beans are starting to get happy with the trellis. They're sending up some good long runners, and just for a guess, I'd say that from the top of the container, it's about a 2.5, almost 3 foot of growth on that so far. And as we get toward the center, we have a Arctic kiwi is what it is labeled as here, and we're having some interesting discussion about this at the house because the tag talks about it basically being like your garden variety, or not your grocery store variety kiwi. Just that it's more cold hardy. But the more we research the scientific name, which I'll put on the screen here for you, the more it sounds like it's not the same, that it's a smaller kiwi that is hairless, yet the tag specifically says fuzzy fruit. So we don't know what's going to come of this. We know that it's definitely a grower. From the ground up, it has already surpassed 6 feet. So maybe about 4.5 feet from the container. But we don't know what's actually going to come out, and we don't know if it'll do any kind of fruiting this year because the container gives no indication to how old the plant is. We may have purchased a 1-year-old plant and not see anything but a lot of greenery this year. As we get over into these last 4 buckets on this side, you can definitely tell we're into a squash. These are the dwarf crookneck summer squash, and they are certainly starting to put on some buds and are likely to flower any good old time now. So we'll just keep an eye on that and look forward to seeing the bees just go crazy for them. All right, let's walk around. I'll bring you back for the back side of the front row. All right, that first section was just easier to shoot from outside the rabbit fencing. So now that we're inside the garden, we're back here behind the crookneck squash, and we have borage being grown as a companion plant. And we kind of alternated. So you see these 4 containers, the far left and then skip one and the next have borage in it, and then there's carrot in the other 2. So those are what's growing there. And moving to these, you can, I believe, clearly see the carrot that is growing in these containers. They certainly have come up more. And here's one of those little companions. My thought here is that as things start to get hot outside, I am concerned about carrot. So I thought if I planted them on the back side of these, that I could make use of the shade being provided by the vines and get a longer growing season out of my carrots. So we'll just see how that goes. You'll see some other things here on the ground, like this is peppermint. It is there because it can be a companion and an anti-pest, but it was placed there. We've been growing that peppermint since last year. So let's turn around and look at the next row. Okay, so here we are on the sun side of the back side of the arbor. Did that make sense to you? I'll do my best to illustrate that for you. Here again we have borage. So to kind of show that, here is the borage in this corner, and then it's catty corner on the back side of the front where we have more borage. So we're trying to spread out the companions. And these are companion planted with some pickling cucumbers. Over here on the front side, of course, you can see another peppermint down on the ground acting as a companion. But up in the buckets, we have bee balm lemon on the front side as a companion. That's in all 4 of the buckets. And we're growing the Charente melons and moneymaker tomatoes. Now the majority of what you can see is planted on the back side, and I'll tell you what those are when we get around to them. But the Charente, and I'm probably still saying those wrong, Charente, anyhow, those little tiny muskmelons, I may come in here with another successive planting, and I'm worried that this other plant is just shading them out too much. I may actually have to remove a couple of these to get some light in, to get these Charente up and on the trellis. So let's go around the back side here and talk about what is doing all that shading. What you're actually looking at here, the bulk of these 4 buckets are Black Beauty zucchini. But we also have some companion plantings over here. We have parsley and oregano, and they are starting to germinate, though they're not really that easy to show on camera from this far away. If you can notice any of the small greens growing down here, that is parsley and catnip starting to come in. And I mentioned it before, but here's the view of the back side of these. We've got carrot and catnip growing in them. Okay, so there you have it. That is how the arbor is doing. It's impossible, really, for me to give you a clear shot. We have just got so much going on in the garden. I even repotted some of the trees today because we don't have the ability to put them in the ground right now, and they needed bigger pots. So it's just been a lot happening. But here's how it looks just past mid-May. And we'll come back in a few weeks and give you another update, and maybe, just maybe, we'll have a lot more of the walls of this trellis grown out. Thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to leave your comments below. And as always, we'll see you next time.